Today we're going to have a look at Destiny 2 gameplay on Stadia and Geforce Now, starting with the startup test for Geforce Now. Unlike the Ubisoft games, the Steam games do seem to load up a lot quicker. However, we do have this startup time for the kind of engine instance. As you can see, I'm doing all my testing on a MacBook Pro, as if you have got a PC, I don't think there's much need for streaming. It seems about 50-50 whether Steam asks you to log in when you're starting up this instance, but for the most part it does seem to be remembering the login for Steam at least, but you do have to do this kind of fake download of the game again. It doesn't take long, but it's just an annoying step that Stadia has managed to take out of the equation. So if Geforce Now could crack this, this would reduce the startup time drastically. The other annoying thing is, when you press this play button, there's just no feedback. Eventually it does just launch, but it just kind of hangs there. So we go 1 minute 20 until the game's actually loaded. And 150 to the title screen. I'm going to go all the way to actual gameplay. So I'm going to go quickly through to Sanctuary on the Moon. And there we go. Playable into the game in 2 minutes 37 from a cold start on the desktop. So it's not too bad. So if we compare that to Google Stadia, in starting from cold browser, it does usually remember the login, so we can go straight into Destiny 2 here. As it wasn't my last game as well, it's the fairest test that we can do. 35 seconds before the game's actually launched. And then 105 to the character selection. You see I've got a good connection on Stadia. You may notice on Geforce Now occasionally it says that I've got a spotty connection, even though I've got 100 meg and 30 meg upload. Again, spawned Sanctuary on the Moon. There we go, 154, just under 155 until it's playable on Stadia. So only really 30 seconds in it, which is not too bad. So if we look at the gameplay on Stadia while we're here, you can see it, even though I was switching between the two of them in pretty much the same time frame, it does seem to be a very slightly different time of day, so we've got a bit more shadows. It's a little bit darker on Stadia, but in general it does seem to be a bit darker on Stadia overall. And this really shows up when we start using the vehicle. You can see the shaders there do seem to be a little bit dulled down. Still more than playable, and if you're just using it on Stadia, you're not really going to notice this difference, only because you're switching between them. So you'll see the Geforce Now gameplay in a little while. I do like the burn effects of the little bike. So this is an area that I can see on both of them, one that I could find quite nicely. It's a good demonstration of the different shaders, the lights and darks, the light effects. So you do get a couple of little lag spikes here and there, but it's kind of consistent on both of them. It is worth noting that during these tests I did have family members streaming Netflix, but it doesn't generally affect it that much at all. see it does render very nicely, and even the kind of long world effects do appear without any pixelation. It's generally good fun. See those light effects to light up the environment around you. It's very stable. Switching over to the Geforce Now gameplay. Start off in pretty much the same area as we did on Stadia. You can see on the bike those lighting effects are much richer, seem to have a lot better contrast. The RTX might be enabled in Destiny 2, but I need to check. Certainly see that graphics too seem to be a little bit better. Do get a little bit of lag again on that initial load, but generally it does feel pretty good.
Keep running.
Switching over to the other area where we can see these shaders coming into play. Again, a little bit of lag, but nothing unusual. Certainly more than playable. The shadow effects and the contrast between the light and dark does seem to be a lot broader on Geforce Now. I'm wondering if this is something to do with it being more of a dedicated app rather than being in private. See, there seems to be a bit more detail on the character than on itself. And just all around, the quality just seems to be a little bit sharper on Geforce Now. For some reason that didn't hurt me this time. You can see by looking at the Earth there that the time of day does seem to be slightly different, as I said before, even though I was switching directly from Stadia and Geforce Now. Just switching between that light and dark really shows off the different textures quite nicely. Does feel very slick. There's not been any input lag at all on either Stadia or Geforce Now. But I must admit I am liking the quality a little bit better on Geforce Now. The side-by-side comparison, see the bike there, the detail of the environment around you does seem to be a lot sharper on Geforce Now. And on the loading screens as well, we do see a little bit more detail in space and also in the world. See that we do get quite a large depth of quality on the clouds there and also the terrain. So we've gone to Earth this time on EDZ. Just give it a bit of a brighter contrast and get some trees into the equation. Again, the time of day is slightly different, but again we can see those lighting effects coming into play. If we go into a darker area like the tunnel here, you can see the contrast of the lighting effects very nicely. Overall, they both play very well, but I do think that the quality on Geforce Now, especially for Destiny 2, is a little bit better.